Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A major crash has shut down parts of Atlantic Avenue in Raleigh this morning. Coming up, I'll tell you what new details we've learned in the last 30 minutes.
We're also tracking more breaking news across our area, from an early morning chase spanning 2 counties to a fire at a local bakery that prompted a big response overnight.
And we're getting a new look at where the bus driver shortage stands at Wake County schools and the steps leaders could take today to address it. A lot of parents are going to want to hear this story. We'll have that for you in just a minute. But thanks for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. It is good to have you along here. And as we get going at 8 o'clock here, lots of news to tell you about. The temperature on the rise once again. There's an end of the road, though, for this. Elizabeth Gardner on the WRAL Severe Weather Center.
It looks gorgeous out there right now, but it's mild, too. We just hit 60 degrees. Our wind is out of the west, and that's helping to keep things warm, but it's about to shift to northwesterly. And once we start to see the northerly component to that wind, the air is going to start to cool off. But look how beautiful it is here. A live look at our gardens right in the backyard. Just a reminder, the gardens are open year-round during daylight hours. Typically in April, it's packed with people coming to see the azaleas. We already have beautiful tulips blooming and trees blooming, especially because temperatures have been unseasonably warm the last couple of months. Right now it's 62 in Fayetteville, 60 in Goldsboro, 59 degrees in Roxborough. Our winds are going to pick up this afternoon, gusting out of the northwest at 30, steady at around 20. It's going to start to feel chilly. Take a look at our hour-by-hour temperatures. It'll be a fast warm-up into the mid-70s at lunchtime, but after that wind shifts, we're going to see temperatures gradually dropping. So at 5 o'clock, we're not in the 70s anymore. We'll drop to the 60s during the evening, and we're on our way to some freezing temperatures. We'll talk about how you may handle that with your plants. Coming up, Brian.
Elizabeth, we've been following breaking news this morning in Raleigh, a crash that has closed a section of Atlantic Avenue right around the Beltline, and we've learned some new information in the past few minutes. Michael Grace is out there live in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, keeping an eye on that investigation. Michael, again, new information recently.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. In the last 30 minutes, we now know that an adult as well as a child were taken to the hospital. Both have serious injuries from this crash, and police are continuing a very thorough investigation of what happened here on Atlantic Avenue. And I'm going to get behind the camera and give you just a little peek into what they've been looking at. I want to zoom in specifically on this red sedan. So 3 different cars involved. A lot of this investigation has now honed in on that red sedan that you see here. We also have video from this scene overnight from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Let's get you to that as well. So we mentioned that red sedan. There was also an orange Camaro and a SUV type model that you see there, both sustaining some pretty significant damage, debris all over the roadway. They also had 2 officers with a dog sniffing up and down Atlantic Avenue. So right now we're still working with the Raleigh Watch Commander to get more information as to how many people were involved, and besides that adult and child, what are the extent of injuries for those other individuals. So hopefully we'll have those answers as we have gotten some more information in the last 30 minutes or so, Brian.
All right, Michael, thank you very much for that update. As we take a look at that area, the section of Atlantic Avenue that's closed right now is between Six Forks and Highwoods, right there under the 440 bridge. And you saw how extensive that investigation scene is. It's not going to reopen very likely before the morning commute ends. So consider alternate routes this morning. Maybe Wake Forest Road, although that northbound side heading away from Six Forks Road up to 440 is getting a little busier. The southbound side looks okay. And Capitol Boulevard also would be an option for you this morning. Sensors right now are indicating the traffic's flowing fairly well. Tracking another big delay. This is in Durham on 147 northbound. It looks like we have some sort of an incident in the downtown area. Our partners at Waze are reporting some police activity right around the Chapel Hill Street interchange. The delays on the northbound side of the Durham Freeway begin on 885, right before you get to the 147 split. And then it's slow on 147 northbound through Briggs Avenue all the way out toward Alston Avenue. As we zoom in more closely to downtown Durham, you can see once you get to Chapel Hill Street, traffic's flowing pretty freely there on the northbound side. So you might consider using 55 as a good alternate route to get from I-40 into the downtown area. In Fuquay-Varina, between Fuquay and Holly Springs, watch for a crash with injuries at James Slaughter Road at Dickens Road. We are seeing some delays there. Around the rest of the triangle, still tracking some heavy backups on I-40 westbound coming in from Johnston County, about an 8-minute slowdown there. About a 12-minute delay as you head in from Knightdale on 87 southbound back toward 440, and our usual delays coming in from Wake Forest on southbound Capitol Boulevard, about 8 minutes of slowdowns.
All right, thank you, Brian. Breaking news, one person is in custody after a chase spanning 2 counties this morning. New video shows where the chase ended on Buffalo Road in Selma. Goldsboro police say it started when they clocked the driver at 105 miles per hour along US 70. A Johnston County Sheriff's deputy threw stop sticks in the car's path, but it kept going even with flat tires. Investigators say the driver came to a stop near the Selma oil terminals, but kept revving the car engine until officers smashed a window and arrested him. No one was hurt.
A local bakery will be closed for repairs today after an early morning fire erupted inside. This is video from the WRAL breaking news tracker. It shows the scene at Panaderia Pasteleria on Liberty Street. Firefighters responded to that scene just after 1 a.m. It took more than 24 firefighters about 20 minutes to put out the flames. No one was inside at the time, but the fire caused heavy damage. Investigators are looking into what started the fire.
Frustration for families in Wake County as the school bus driver shortage gets worse. Today, we'll get an update on what leaders are doing to recruit and keep drivers. WRAL's Nia Hardin is at Wake County's bus yard with a closer look at what's needed.
This morning, bus drivers are already getting ready to leave here at the bus yard, but many of these buses will not be going, and that's because the number of Wake Schools bus driver openings has continued to grow. Parents are dealing with the impact. New numbers show 285 bus driver openings. More than 32% of the spots are not filled. That number has grown every month. The school system currently pays its drivers $17.20 an hour. And to get more drivers, they have tried boosting marketing. They've been paying for advertising on social media and redesigning their landing pages with lead forms. Other districts in our area have resorted to offering more pay. Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools just approved $20 per hour for bus drivers. WRAL will be at today's meeting. We'll have an update in our later newscast. Nia Hardin, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Governor Roy Cooper is calling for a big investment in North Carolina's future. In his final State of the State address last night, Cooper said the state's booming growth and $3 billion budget surplus can be used to prepare our state for the future. He urged lawmakers not to cut taxes further on corporations and the wealthy, saying they should invest that money instead in education and other needs.
As our growth accelerates, we must not forget that once-in-a-generation opportunities require once-in-a-generation investments.
The governor also praised our state's growth in clean energy sector and warned lawmakers that venturing into hot-button issues like abortion and LGBTQ rights could stunt that growth. In his response to the State of the State, Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson credited the state's booming economy to the fiscal conservatism of Republicans.
If the Democrats have their way, they'll pull us back into an era of government overreach, high taxes, and attacks on our personal freedoms. During the pandemic, we saw just how far they would go to control your lives.
Robinson is expected to run for governor in 2024.
We'll get new insight today into a Republican-led plan to stop the opioid epidemic in North Carolina. State Senators Danny Earl Britt Jr. of Robeson County and Michael Lazzara of Onslow County are discussing Senate Bill 189. It would increase the punishment for drug offenses linked to fentanyl, which is an opioid much stronger than morphine. Today's briefing is at 10 a.m.
The head of our nation's central bank will testify today on Capitol Hill, where we have a live look for you right now. There's efforts to bring down inflation. It'll be Jerome Powell's first time in front of lawmakers in 9 months. He's expected to warn them that the Federal Reserve will have to raise interest rates even higher and keep them there longer than it has already signaled. Raising rates can slow spending and inflation, but also risks sending the economy into a recession.
V3 tank liftoff.
Flight boosters ignition and liftoff.
It seemed to be a successful launch, but this rocket was destroyed just a few moments after liftoff this morning. Still ahead, what officials think went wrong. Plus,
the waiting is the worst part.
A South Carolina family left waiting after their loved ones are kidnapped just over the border with Mexico. Ahead in our next half hour, one possible reason for that attack, which was captured on video.
And our temperatures are about to turn cooler tonight. We have some frosty conditions potentially in our forecast a little later in the week. I'll show you when it looks coldest.
Coming up on 8:13 right now on your Tuesday morning, day at the lake. Sounds pretty good right there. Lake Gaston, part of our WRAL live cam network. There are many, many views Elizabeth Gardner has today. A lot of them include blue skies, sunshine, and one more nice day here.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one to get outside. Right now, we're looking at Goldsboro, Durham, Apex, Chapel Hill, looking at sunshine everywhere. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. We do have cooler air that arrives this afternoon. This morning, it's nice and warm. We're climbing into the 60s now. We'll be in the mid-70s by lunchtime. But then we see the wind shifting to northwesterly. It's going to tap into some colder air that's up to the north and send it our direction. Watch our color contours turn to blue as we head through the afternoon, overnight tonight, into the day tomorrow. And we're going to see a high pressure system that just continues to feed cold air into our region all the way through the weekend. We do have some showers that'll roll through too on Friday, but it's not going to be cold enough for us to see any wintry precipitation here. Maybe on the north side of that, up into West Virginia, if you're looking for one last ski trip, you might be able to squeeze that out. I don't know. I've been looking at it lately. No comment. Okay, we do have dry conditions between now and Friday. Friday morning is looking dry for us, but Friday afternoon and evening look like they'll be a bit on the wetter side. Right now, it looks a little drier than it did yesterday. We'll continue to show you the runs of the computer models as we get closer to Friday, but trending a little drier for us, a little farther south in terms of Friday's rain. The cold front comes through early Saturday morning, takes the rain along with it. So Saturday looks dry. We should see increasing sunshine. Of course, our pollen count right now is high, and it's likely to stay that way Wednesday into Thursday. However, as our temperatures start to drop a little bit, so will our pollen counts. It's that really warm air that triggers the trees to release that pollen, and that does look like it'll change a bit over the next few days. And then, of course, some rain rolls in on Friday, which should help. Over the weekend, another sure sign of spring. We spring forward. We go back to daylight time. Daylight time. 6:20 is the sunset on Saturday. 7:21 on Sunday. We'll definitely notice it on Sunday and Monday morning when it gets light later in the morning as well. So 76 today. After today, we're not likely to see any 70s in the forecast, maybe for the next couple of weeks. Friday will be chilly. We talked about the fact that we could see some showers in the afternoon. We'll see a high of just 48 degrees. Our coldest morning is likely to be Thursday with temperatures near freezing. If you do happen to have any tender vegetation in your yard, things have started to bud a little earlier than normal. Watch out for that. You may want to cover it. Typically, this time of year, things are fine, but it's been so warm lately that we're really ahead of schedule in terms of how early things are popping out. We have showers again in our forecast late Sunday into Monday. Brian?
8:15 right now as we take a look at live pictures from the scene of that crash that has closed a section of Atlantic Avenue in Raleigh between Six Forks Road and Highwoods Boulevard. You can see from the WRAL breaking news tracker in these live pictures, this is still an active scene. Sky 5 just heard it take off here on the way there to give us an aerial view of what's happening. We know that an adult and a child were taken to the hospital here. Still working to get some more details about exactly what happened. Michael Grace is out there gathering that information. Take you to the map and show you exactly what section of Atlantic is closed. That crash is just south of the 440 bridge there, so between Six Forks and Highwoods, still blocked and likely will be blocked for some time. Consider using Capitol Boulevard or Wake Forest Road as good alternate routes. However, sensors are showing a backup on the northbound side of Wake Forest Road, heading away from Six Forks back up toward that 440 interchange. Taking a look around the rest of the triangle, we're still watching delays on the northbound side of the Durham Freeway with some police activity reported on northbound 147 right around the Chapel Hill Street interchange there. The backup's beginning on 885 northbound, just north of Ellis Road, right there toward the 147 split, and it's solidly backed up toward 55 and Briggs Avenue. Consider using 55 as a good alternate route to get into downtown Durham. As we zoom into that area, you can see as soon as you get through that Chapel Hill Street interchange, northbound 147 looks good heading out toward Irwin Road. Also in Fuquay-Varina, still have this crash reported at James Slaughter Road at Dickens Road, still seeing some heavy delays in both directions of James Slaughter Road, not too far from the Highway 55 intersection.
All right, thank you, Brian. A stretch of South Riley Road is back open this morning after a deadly crash. Police reopened it to traffic near Morganton Road just before 1 o'clock this morning. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there as officers closed it down last night. Police tell us a man was thrown from a vehicle in the crash and died at the scene. His name has not been released. No word on what caused that crash.
A Fort Bragg service member linked to a series of romance scams will be in a Raleigh courtroom this morning. Sanda Frimpong faces 19 charges, including money laundering, fraud, conspiracy, and aggravated identity theft. Prosecutors say he convinced people to send him money with promises of romance or riches while he was stationed at Fort Bragg. He's also accused of using fake names to apply for unemployment assistance. The 33-year-old faces up to 20 years in prison per count.
New this morning, what started as a successful rocket launch quickly took a turn for the worst.
Flight boosters, ignition, and liftoff.
That's the moment Japan's space agency launched its H-3 rocket overnight, but moments later they ordered it to self-destruct because the ignition for the second stage did not work as planned. The cause of the failure is not clear. This comes 3 weeks after the same rocket aborted launch because of a glitch. It's already been delayed 2 years.
China's foreign minister is warning of conflict and confrontation if the U.S. doesn't, quote, hit the brakes. Speaking this morning in his first news conference since taking office, he suggested the recent spy balloon crisis could have been avoided. He also accused the U.S. of trying to contain China's development. American leaders say while they are competing with China, they're not looking for conflict. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in Baghdad today as he continues his tour of the Middle East. Austin says he is in Iraq to reaffirm the U.S. partnership there and move toward a more secure, stable, and sovereign Iraq. He is the highest-ranking official to visit the country since the Biden administration began.
Fox News host Tucker Carlson is releasing new footage of the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Carlson aired the video on his show last night, claiming it shows the riots were more peaceful than what was portrayed on TV and in congressional hearings. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who is a Republican, gave Carlson 40,000 hours of video, but it's not clear how much of it shown was edited or shown out of context. The family of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officer who died a day after being attacked in the riot, said the footage, quote, opened our wounds wide open again. More than 1,000 people face charges linked to January 6th.
A local Jewish organization is using a religious holiday to counter a message of hate against faith. Chabad of Durham Chapel Hill is holding a Purim celebration for the community this afternoon. Organizers will also share a response to the National Day of Hate from neo-Nazi groups that took place 2 weekends back. Today's event runs from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at Angel Island in Durham.
An update now on the big road project at the intersection of Blue Ridge Road and Hillsborough Street in Raleigh. It'll be at least tomorrow before the road closes for construction. Weather conditions force the DOT to delay the project until Monday. The plan is to make Blue Ridge Road pass underneath Hillsborough Street, the railroad tracks, and Barrel Road. The DOT says the goal is to make the intersection safer for people attending events in the area.
The awards keep stacking up for the Top Gun sequel, as well as Everything Everywhere All at Once. David Daniel gives us a look at today's Hollywood Minute.
What the hell? Good morning, aviators.
Top Gun Maverick flies off with one of the top honors at the 73rd Ace Eddie Awards. Maverick won for Best Edited Feature Film Drama released in theaters, while Everything Everywhere All at Once won the same award in the comedy category. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won for Best Edited Animated Feature Film.
I was just wondering if you wanted to, go out sometime.
You want to get a coffee?
Now?
Yes, now.
Knives Out co-stars Ana de Armas and Chris Evans are back together in Ghosted. The romantic spy flick finds Evans as an average guy who learns he's dating a secret agent played by de Armas, with the couple teaming up naturally to save the world. Ghosted debuts on Apple TV Plus April 21st.
Kid, what the heck are those things? They look like little Shreks to me.
Here's your first look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The animated adventure features the voices of Hannibal Buress, Jackie Chan, Maya Rudolph, Ice Cube, John Cena, Giancarlo Esposito, and Post Malone. It's cowabunga time when the Turtles surface in theaters August 4th. Going turtly crazy in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
New on Fox 50, Halle Bailey is reacting to a new doll based on her portrayal of Ariel in Disney's live-action remake of The Little Mermaid.
I am literally choking up because this means so much to me, and to have one that looks like me, that's my favorite Disney character, is very surreal. And look, she even has my mole.
Oh, you spared no length there. Bailey posted the video to Instagram, sharing her excitement. Little Mermaid is set to arrive in theaters May 26th. Lots of little girls out there can't wait to see that.
I love that so much, and it's amazing because this really shows little girls and boys all over the world. You can do anything you want, and you can have a doll too. It's amazing.
With the marks, everything.
With the mark,
yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right, nearly a half of the jobs in North Carolina's juvenile detention centers are unfilled. Coming up, the new steps leaders are considering to get people to apply.
Well, it's a violent mid-air encounter captured on video. What prosecutors say one passenger did to face a possible life sentence.
Listen to WRAL News Plus on your radio in Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Happy Tuesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey with your top stories. We have to get right over to Brian Schrader. He is tracking a bad crash on Atlantic Avenue in Raleigh. Brian, what do we know?
Yeah, you're looking at live pictures right now from Sky 5. That section of Atlantic Avenue is closed between Six Forks Road and Highwoods Boulevard as police investigate a crash there. We know that at least 2 people have been taken to the hospital, and you can see that section that is blocked. Until they're able to reopen that, you need to think about alternate routes. Capitol Boulevard might be a good option for you. We are seeing some pretty heavy southbound delays starting to build now, heading away from Trawick Road back down toward Brentwood and the 440 interchange. Another option for you might be Wake Forest Road, which is also getting busier in both directions, but still, those are the best 2 options to get around that closure. Also, on the northbound side of 147 in Durham, watch for backups from the 885 split there all the way into downtown. Some police activity reported right around the Chapel Hill Street interchange, Elizabeth.
Weather's nice and quiet this morning. We take a live look at Sanford. Nothing but blue sky. We're starting very warm this morning. If you like it, get out and enjoy it. We're looking at 60s across the board here. 61 Lewisburg, 64 Tarboro, 61 in Irwin, 62 in Goldsboro. Great day to go to the park. The warmest temperatures will be right around noon, and then gradually we see our temperatures dropping. It is going to be a windy afternoon, and that wind will be a little on the chilly side by late today.
Thanks, Elizabeth. A Durham bakery will be closed for repairs today after a fire. Firefighters told the WRAL breaking news tracker flames broke out at Panadaria Pastoria on Liberty Street around 1 o'clock this morning. No one was hurt, but the bakery was heavily damaged. The cause is not clear. Coming up next on Fox 50, a new look at where the school bus driver shortage stands right now in Wake County. And then ahead on Today, Jimmy Fallon is live in Studio 1A.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A serious crash still has Atlantic Avenue closed in Raleigh 3 hours later. You are looking live from Sky 5 as we learn new information in the last hour about the wreck.
And a cold front is crossing our area right now. We'll still stay mild up through around lunchtime, but eventually the colder air takes over. I'll show you when our temperatures drop down to freezing.
Plus, new video shows the moments 4 Americans are kidnapped in Mexico as investigators reveal a possible reason for their abduction. Certainly a scary scene south of the border, and the ties to kind of our region with those North Carolina plates on it. Thanks for joining us right now, 8:30. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. The weather outside right now, it's nice.
Pretty good.
It feels good. It looks good. It's not going to feel that great for much longer. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has where we stand now, but we're going to get colder tomorrow, Elizabeth.
It's nice and mild right now, 60 degrees at RDU. We have a west wind at 8 miles per hour, but our wind today shifts to northwesterly. Once we start that northerly flow kicking in, it's going to cool off. It'll be gradual through the afternoon. It will be windy this afternoon, and then we're going to see some freezing temperatures by Thursday morning. Of course, your yard may have blooming things in it, just like we do here in the gardens. Reminder, our gardens are open year-round. The azaleas are usually popular next month, but we've started to see things popping out earlier than they normally do. So just be careful out there, especially if you're a farmer and you're starting to notice strawberries, fruit trees coming out. Those farmers I know are aware that those cold temperatures are coming. 59 in Roxborough, 61 in Goldsboro, 62 in Fayetteville. Again, it's going to be a breezy afternoon, northwest gusts to 30 with steady winds at around 20 miles per hour. Our warmest temperature today will be right around lunchtime. We'll see that wind shift and temperatures will begin to fall during the afternoon. We often see the warmest temperature around 3 or 4, but temperatures will start to fall before then. As you're coming home, temperatures will be in the mid 60s. And then, of course, we're looking at the potential for some freezing temperatures ahead. I'll show you when. Coming up, Brian.
Elizabeth, continuing coverage of this breaking news in Raleigh, a crash that has closed a section of Atlantic Avenue for all of the morning commute so far, still closed between Six Forks Road and Highwoods Boulevard. Let's go to Michael Grayson, the WRAL breaking news tracker, who's live at the scene, keeping an eye on the situation there. Michael, what's new?
Yeah, Brian, in just the last hour, we now know that an adult and a child both taken to the hospital with serious injuries from this crash. And this entire morning, police have pushed all the media pretty far from the crime scene, so it's been tough to take a look. But we do have Sky 5 up in the air. We're going to send you up there right now to give you a closer look at what this scene looks like right now. 3 different cars involved in this crash. There was an orange Camaro, a black SUV type, and then a red sedan. And that red sedan has been where investigators, specifically the medical examiner, have been spending most of their time. All of the airbags inside that red sedan were deployed. Those 2 other cars had some pretty significant damage as well. A lot of debris here in the road. Another thing that investigators did do was take 2 officers along with a K9 unit officer up and down the road sniffing for something. So we're still trying to work with the Raleigh Watch Commander to find out what that was all about. Another question we're still asking is how many other people were involved in this crash and what is their condition at this time? So hopefully we'll be having those answers this morning at some point. Brian?
All right, Michael, thanks for that live update. And as we take a look at the sensors in that area, we are picking up some delays on Wake Forest Road. That's one of your alternate routes to use, trying to avoid Atlantic Avenue this morning, trying to get through the Beltline area. Wake Forest Road on that northbound side is pretty busy between Six Forks and 440. Capitol is in fairly good shape this morning, although we are seeing some of the usual southbound delays coming in from Buffalo Road back down toward Trawick Road. So just give yourself some extra time through there. Not sure when they're going to be able to reopen Atlantic Avenue, but we'll be watching those sensors through the morning, letting you know how that develops. Some better news in downtown Durham here. It looks like a lot of those delays we've been tracking on the northbound side of 147 have started to ease up pretty nicely. Still seeing some delays from right around the 885, 147 split heading up toward Briggs Avenue, but by the time you get to Alston Avenue, traffic is flowing freely on into downtown, and certainly by the time you get to the Chapel Hill Street area, looks like everything's moving along pretty well. Around the rest of the triangle, a crash reported on 64 in Apex right around Davis Drive. Also, a crash in East Raleigh near the Wake Med campus on Newbern Avenue at Sunnybrook Road. Not seeing big delays at this point through that intersection.
All right, thank you, Brian. Frustration for families in Wake County as the school bus driver shortage gets worse. Today, we'll get an update on what leaders are doing to recruit and keep drivers. WRAL's Naya Hardin is at Wake County's bus yard with a closer look at what's needed.
This morning, bus drivers are already getting ready to leave here at the bus yard, but many of these buses will not be going, and that's because the number of Wake Schools bus driver openings has continued to grow. Parents are dealing with the impact. New numbers show 285 bus driver openings. More than 32% of the spots are not filled. That number has grown every month. The school system currently pays its drivers $17.20 an hour. And to get more drivers, they have tried boosting marketing. They've been paying for advertising on social media and redesigning their landing pages with lead forms. Other districts in our area have resorted to offering more pay. Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools just approved $20 per hour for bus drivers. WRAL education reporter Emily Walkenhorst explained what we could hear today about pay.
There may also be discussion at the board level of, what else the school system can do. The school board is going to make a budget request to county commissioners in the next few months. And that'll first come from the superintendent, perhaps with a little bit of school board input about what they'd like to see in that.
Nia Harden, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Deputies are searching for the person responsible for a deadly shooting in Hope Mills. Cumberland County deputies responded to Medicus Lane. It's near Woodington Road. You see it on this map here. This was about 9:15 last night. They tell us they found a man who had been shot to death. They have not released his name or said what led up to the shooting. A man now faces charges after a deadly crash on Holly Springs Road in Wake County. Charles Dale III is charged with felony death by motor vehicle and carrying a concealed gun while drinking alcohol. Troopers say he didn't yield as he turned into his driveway last night just south of Cary Parkway. He hit 24-year-old Gabriella Hamed, who was riding a motorcycle. She died in the crash.
Governor Cooper is calling for a big investment in North Carolina's future. In his final State of the State address last night, Cooper said the state's booming growth and $3 billion budget surplus can be used to prepare our state for the future. Governor Cooper also praised the growth of our state's clean energy sector and warned lawmakers that venturing into hot-button issues like abortion and LGBTQ rights could stunt that growth.
I challenge this General Assembly to keep us off the front lines of those culture wars that hurt people and cost us jobs.
Cooper also urged lawmakers not to cut taxes further on corporations and the wealthy, saying they should invest the money instead in education and other needs. And in his response, Republican Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson encouraged changes for education and teachers, but in a different way.
We need to quit asking teachers to be police officers, social workers, and parents. Their job is to teach, plain and simple. And what should they be teaching our students? They should be teaching our students how to think, not what to think.
Robinson is expected to run for governor in 2024.
This morning could be a step forward in the fight against the fentanyl and opioid crises in North Carolina. WRAL's Laura Levine is in downtown Raleigh with what lawmakers and families who have lost loved ones are pushing for today.
This morning, lawmakers and families impacted by the opioid and fentanyl crisis will show up today here at the legislative building to push for tighter laws. Take a listen to these statistics. 8 North Carolinians die each day from fentanyl poisoning, and more than 13,000 died from fentanyl between 2013 to November 2022. A bill sponsored by Senator Danny Britt and Michael Lazzara seeks harsher punishments for fentanyl and opioid drug offenses. This includes higher fines for trafficking and more charges for anyone responsible for the death of someone by the drugs. Victims' families are trying to raise awareness about the dangers in the community.
Other people who'd lost a child to fentanyl or a loved one, they shouldn't stand alone. And I felt like that we would all be stronger if we stood together.
And a press conference will take place here today at 10 o'clock this morning, right before the bill goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee at 11 a.m. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Raleigh.
New video shows what investigators think is the moments 4 Americans were kidnapped in Mexico. This is the video here. You can see a woman being dragged right into that white pickup. The FBI says the 4 were riding in a white minivan with North Carolina license plate. Mexico's president says the group crossed the border to buy medicine. Investigators say men with guns fired shots at their car before kidnapping them, possibly mistaking them for drug smugglers. A South Carolina woman who says her brother is one of the victims is hoping for the best.
The waiting is the worst part. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but however, no news is good news. That's the way I'm staying with it. No news is good news.
The FBI is now offering a $50,000 reward for their safe return. Agents are urging Americans not to travel to the border city where this happened.
20 minutes before 9 on your Tuesday morning, still ahead, a terrifying encounter mid-flight captured on camera.
and then I will kill every man on this plane.
Now, why the man in this video could now be facing life in prison for the action investigators say he took next.
And local school systems weigh in on the debate over weapons detection systems, the steps they're now taking to keep kids safe in the classroom.
Plus, temperatures will hit the 70s today again. It's not going to last very long, though, as you give this live look. Lewisburg, good morning to you. We track the cool down coming in the 7-day forecast next.
Welcome back. Time now is 8:44 on your Tuesday. This is Live Look over Goldsboro. Good morning to everyone there. Not a cloud in the sky. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful start. We're going to warm up into the 70s today. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here with a look over Rocky Mountain Mills. Beautiful there, too.
It's gorgeous everywhere. We're seeing a beautiful sunshine. We started off with winds coming out of the south. Winds are beginning to shift a little bit. We're seeing our cold front come through. Northwesterly winds are going to change everything for us as we head through the afternoon. But right now it is 60 degrees across most of the viewing area. We climb up into the mid 70s right around lunchtime. Typically the warmest part of the day is around 3 or 4 o'clock, but at that point temperatures will gradually start to fall. It's not going to be an abrupt drop in our temperature, but it's going to feel warmest around lunchtime. If you have time to get outside at lunchtime, it'll feel the warmest today at that point. 62 in Fayetteville, 62 Rocky Mount, 63 in Roxborough. Nice and warm out there. Temperatures are anywhere from about 12 degrees to 20 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. We should climb to almost 80 in Fayetteville and Clinton by lunchtime. Our cool spot will be South Hill at 69, 77 Southern Pines, 74 in Rocky Mount for the high today. Our winds will start to come out of the northwest by lunchtime. It'll be gusty up to 30 miles per hour and steady at 20. And so that colder air, that wind's going to feel a little bit on the chilly side. We also have high fire danger because of that wind and the dry conditions. You're encouraged not to do any outdoor burning today. Our cold front sliding eastward, switching our wind to northwesterly. Once we see that cold air move in tonight and take hold, it's going to be with us for a while. Take a look at some of these chilly mornings. Our normal morning low is 38, and we tend to see that around 7 a.m. or so. 37 for tomorrow morning. So we're back to coats. And then right now it looks like Thursday could be the coldest morning where we could be close to freezing. After that, temperatures bump up slightly Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday back to 37. Friday may be a little wet in the afternoon and into early Saturday morning, but not quite cold enough for anything frozen. But on Thursday morning, the purple areas where we could have a freeze and a frost from, say, Raleigh southward toward Fayetteville and Clinton. Typically this time of year, there wouldn't be any plants in danger of being damaged by this, but of course we're way ahead of the game. We're seeing our plants coming out about 3 weeks early in some cases. And so if you're a farmer, I know you know what to look out for, what you need to protect. Our average last freeze is usually the first week of April, and the last hard freeze is the last week of March, at least across the Triangle area. We're going to take it out to March 20th with a good chance of below normal temperatures. So we're not going to warm up anytime soon. We're saying goodbye to the 70s today and hello to 50s and 60s. Friday, probably 48 for the high during the afternoon, especially because we'll end up with some showers. We could end up with a few stray showers Sunday and Monday, but the latest look at the computer models shows that drying out a little bit.
Thanks, Elizabeth. After deadly back-to-back snowstorms, California's mountain communities are preparing for another round of snow. The Sierra Nevada mountain range is expecting up to 3 more inches of snow today. That's after the areas saw more than 3 feet of snow over the weekend. You can see the conditions in Lake Tahoe in this new video. Officials say many families remain trapped in their homes, waiting to be dug out from that snow.
New this morning, we're getting a look inside the cabin of a United Airlines flight as a man threatened to kill everyone on board.
So where's the Homeland Security with the gun? Because I'm waiting for them to point the gun at me so I can show everybody that I won't die when I take every bullet in that clip. So wherever in my body they shoot it, and then I will kill every man on this plane.
Video from a passenger shows the man making threats before getting up and trying to open an emergency exit door mid-flight. Prosecutors say the man also tried to stab a flight attendant in the neck. No one was hurt. Passengers tackled and restrained the man as the plane landed in Boston. If convicted, the man faces up to life in prison.
Two local school districts are weighing in on adding new weapons detection systems in the wake of threats and loaded guns found on campuses. In Nash County, the Board of Education finalized a deal last night to put weapons scanners in all high schools. A board member says it'll cost about $1 million over the next 4 years. In Harnett County, the school board decided to put off a vote on a similar equipment decision, and they want to take a closer look before they make their final call on that.
Nearly half of jobs in the state's juvenile detention centers are unfilled, and that has some pushing for a raise in starting pay. There are so many vacant positions that some employees are working more than one role each day. Some point to the starting salary of $35,000 a year for juvenile detention workers as a major hurdle. Adult detention workers start between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. The state's Deputy Secretary of Juvenile Justice told WRAL's Julian Grace about the effort to close the gap.
So we're doing several things right now. One is that we're offering a sign-on bonus for employees. We're also doing retention bonuses for employees to try to get them to stay in those roles that they're in.
Kentucky recently moved to increase starting pay for juvenile detention center workers from $35,000 to $50,000 and quickly filled 68 positions. Big bonuses are being offered today to get more people working for the State Department of Adult Correction. The agency is holding a hiring event at Pitt Community College in Winterville with sign-on bonuses of up to $10,000. You can also contact the agency to set up a virtual interview since it's a pretty long drive for most people in our area. There are positions open for corrections and probation officers, nurses, and more. The event runs from 9 to 4.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, more trouble this morning for Norfolk Southern. You see the headlines right here. A Norfolk Southern employee dies after collision between a Norfolk Southern train and a dump truck, a spokesperson says for the train company. This happened in the Cleveland area. This is a picture of that scene this morning. That spokesperson also says the employee was 46 years old. This is a developing story. We'll continue to monitor it for any new information here in the WRAL Live Center.
Ken, thanks for the update. Those new developments come a day after Norfolk Southern said it is making changes and after those other two crashes we've been telling you about. John Lawrence shows us the safety improvements being planned as questions grow over the company's work.
For Norfolk Southern, it was like deja vu all over again. On Saturday, one of the company's trains derailed in Springfield, Ohio.
I started recording and you could see the train like get off into gravel and then it started collapsing and banging up.
There were no injuries reported in Saturday's accident, and the track in that area is reopened with no risk to nearby residents, according to local officials.
There were 4 tanker cars, but they were not carrying hazardous materials, and they did not carry hazardous materials prior to the derailment.
But the Norfolk Southern derailment last month in East Palestine, Ohio, did have hazardous materials, and the National Transportation Safety Board is taking a closer look.
We will look at their management practices, their policies. We'll also look at safety culture. That's an important part of this.
Norfolk Southern says it's addressing this issue with a 6-point plan focused on boosting safety, including the enhancement of the hot-bearing detectors, which can trigger an alarm if a potential failure or high temperatures are detected.
We're cooperating with the NTSB. We're cooperating with the local, state, federal resources to make sure that we investigate them fully, understand what could be done better, and make Norfolk Southern an even safer railroad.
That was John Lawrence reporting. The EPA says the removal of contaminated soil in East Palestine began on Saturday and could take up to 2 months to complete.
JetBlue is preparing for a lawsuit from the Justice Department this week. The suit would try to block the airline's $3.8 million takeover of Spirit Airlines. JetBlue says the government's antitrust regulators are set on stopping the merger. The airlines say the merger will help competition rather than weaken it. According to an agreement on the DOJ's review of the deal, the government will have to sue to block the transaction by tomorrow.
The ACC men's basketball tournament starts today, but the journey for our teams here in the Triangle begins tomorrow with both NC State and UNC scheduled to play. Don't miss our coverage from the historic Greensboro Coliseum beginning Wednesday afternoon on WRAL.
Online screenings for the Haiti Heritage Film Festival will continue today. This year's theme is We Carry Them With Us. According to organizers, the films shown will take viewers on a journey of African diaspora content with a particular emphasis on the South. You can see the films in person March 9th through the 11th at the Haiti Heritage Center in Durham.
Before we go to break, here are the winning lottery numbers, and we will get a check on weather and traffic coming up next.